Alright, this video is going to be a little different because it's going to be an LFR video, or reaction to the Leafs game against the St. Louis Blues, and then a reaction to their trade with the Arizona Coyotes. Do I even get to be in this one? You just were? Oh, no wait, let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little ridiculous. Good boy. Play all the hits! Left Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me finish. How am I supposed to go to bed after watching that? I'm quite hyped. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Leafs lose 6-3 to the St. Louis Blues. It rhymes, but it's not fun. So, it's the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the St. Louis Blues, am I right? Leafs lose to the bigger, heavier team, am I right? So I'm gonna let loose on them, am I right? No, I'm not. Listen, 6-3 looks ugly. I mean, it's not good to lose, but ultimately, I thought that game was a lot closer than the score let on. Yes, it was a playoff-style game, but it's not like they've lost all playoff-style games recently. Any game against a contender is probably a playoff-style game, and they beat Pittsburgh and they beat Carolina. This is more a matter of rock beating scissors. But for the most part, I thought the Leafs actually did a really good job standing up to rock in this game. But at the end of the day, there are glaring issues with this team that showed up in this game. That's not an opinion of mine. That's an opinion of the Leafs. How do I know that? Number one, did you see Sheldon Keefe? He didn't take off his mask as much as usual, but he turned redder around it. And number two, by my count, that is the second time that the Leafs have essentially made a trade during a game. Both times the Leafs waited till after the game to announce it, which is polite, but both times it was painfully obvious something had to happen. The first time it happened was a couple years ago when Michael Hutchinson got lit up in Madison Square Garden after a streak of getting lit up, and the Leafs went out and acquired a goalie. Like, as soon as the game ended. Now, you might get the impression that the Leafs were acting emotionally there, maybe even hasty, which is not the way to make trades, but it should be mentioned that the goalie they got was Jack Campbell! And overall, I think that's gone pretty well. Tonight, with a bottom four of Muzzin, Liljegren, and Sandin Hall, the Leafs said, that's enough, and they went out and made a change immediately. Let's talk about the game and what might have led to it. We'll try to go through the game quickly so this game isn't half an hour. The Blues did a pretty good job in transition tonight, controlling it both ways. They made it difficult for the Leafs to get out of their own zone, especially in the first period, and they broke out of their own zone, taking advantage of Leaf rushes really well. You take advantage of a Leaf rush, you give yourself a scoring chance, you make the Leafs maybe a little bit more sheepish offensively, and all of a sudden you've won the mental game. All three members of the Leafs top line end up deep, so the Blues break it out and kind of get a 4-on-2. Now that's bad, and ultimately it probably falls on at least one Leafs forward not hanging back. But odd man rushes are going to happen. 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, and all I want to see, even though you're losing the numbers game, are you doing something? Jake Muzzin he cut off the Jordan Kyrou pass, basically forcing him to shoot. Now he does shoot, and there's a rebound, and Campbell does his best to steer the rebound wide. He does, but not quite wide enough. And remember what I said about, yeah, there's gonna be odd man rushes, but are you doing something? Timothy Liljegren is doing nothing here. Nothing. He's skating at his goalie directly, is what's happening. Matthews could have probably taken an extra stride here and been more effective cutting off Buchnevich, but Liljegren's not doing anything. He doesn't even have 18. Who is 18? Robert Thomas? He doesn't even have him. The Leafs were really bad at this for a few years. They've gotten much better under Keefe, but they were really bad at 2-on-1s. Who do you take? Do you take the shooter? Or the pass option. Because their plan for 2 or 3 years was stand in the middle and do nothing! And it weirdly led to several goals against. Matthews probably needs to be better here, but Liljegren's got no one. He doesn't have the puck, he doesn't have any skater. He's standing in the middle of the slot. It's not good enough. This was a big opportunity for him, a really big opportunity. After a letdown before last game, he wasn't in the lineup. He was sent down to the minors. But when he gets back in the lineup, he's with Jake Muzzin. How will he do? They didn't do very well against the St. Louis Blues last time. He scored the goal, but they didn't do great in their own end. How is he going to do this time? 3 minutes in, bad start. This is another example of the Blues just reading plays really well. Leafs fourth line, chance in the offensive zone. Oh, they turn it over, the Blues go the other way. Somehow it's Riley and Muzzin out there. Muzzin's got two guys to choose between. He chooses the wrong guy, and at that point he's got to change direction. He slows right down, and at that point he's just a pylon. I'm not saying Jake Muzzin's a pylon. I'm saying in that situation, Klim Kostin shoots, Klim Kostin scores, and after a couple pretty good games for Jack Campbell, you maybe like him to have that one. But a few minutes later, would you say that of William Nylander and Ville Husso? Because with 4.5 to go, Nylander coming in on Ville Husso, who's like one of the best, most underrated goalies in the NHL, just grips it and rips it. Nylander scores his first and 9, and the Leafs say, hey, we're in this game. That was with 5.5 minutes left. 5.5 minutes into the next period, grips it and rips it again! William Billiam Nylander breaking his slump in a big way with 2 goals, and now the game's tied. Followed by like the most heartbreaking goal against ever. Third line out there for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They shoot it on, it's stopped. Once again, the Blues turn the puck up ice. It's another odd man rush as Justin Falk sneaks by TJ Brody. Sauce pass to Brayden Schenn. Now it's an amazing pass, it's amazing opportunity, it's an amazing shot, robbed by Jack Kim. Brayden Schenn sticks with it, and while he's robbed by Campbell on the first one, he manages to get his own rebound, falling down. Miraculous, underrated goal for Brayden Schenn, and the Blues regain the lead. The Leafs, once again, not backing down. It's the third line on the ice. It's the top pair on the ice. TJ Brody, blam! Blasts it on and blasts it in for his 4th of the season. It's 3-3 at the end of the second. The Leafs are very much in this game where the Blues are playing smart, playing defensively stifling, and playing heavy. The Leafs are hanging in there. This is what I wanted to see more of in the Flames game. You can point to the shot counter and all of that. That's fine. It's just a difference of opinion in how you saw the game versus how I did, which is fine. I don't know what the numbers say, but to me, this game felt closer. Not just because of the score, but that helped. Also in that period, speaking of fight back, Michael Bunting and Torrey Krug. Now, it wasn't counted as an actual fight, but whatever, we all know what it was. I forgot that greasy hit after the whistle that Krug laid on Bunting, which, I mean, what a tough guy. But this might sound salty just because the Leafs lost. I don't care. Krug should be fined for this. He got the extra minor with Bunting because he punched him with his glove on before they took their gloves off. Again, it's roughing. But Krug should be fined because before the punch even, he cowbelled him. That's how the whole thing starts. Krug gets his stick up into Michael Bunting's downstairs. He lifts up with force. Bunting rips off his helmet, and Krug looks at the ref. Imagine cup checking someone and then looking at the ref being like, hey, help me. Once a Bruin, always a Bruin. And then, man, I watched the replay again just now. Krug doesn't just punch Bunting with his glove on. He punches him with his glove on! Punching someone bare knuckle in the head is 5 minutes for fighting. Punching someone with a glove on is 2 minutes for roughing. What doesn't hockey understand about you can throw a harder punch with a glove on than off? Like, I'm making a big deal of this because it's not just a paw, you know what I mean? Like, if you're telling me if a game gets out of hand, this was a close game, but if a game gets out of hand and I get to blast the team rat on the other team in the face with a glove on, and all I gotta do is sit by myself for 2 minutes, I'm gonna take that 2 minutes to laugh extremely hard. And while I'm laughing, I'm gonna go on my phone. I brought my phone in my hockey pants. I'm gonna go on my phone and I'm gonna be like, can't believe all that cost was 2 minutes. LMAO, thanks Gary. Was Brad Marchand not just suspended for this? Remember I called it a Lifetime Achievement Award? That's why. A better comparison is probably Dylan Larkin's 1-game suspension for his punch on Matthew Joseph. That was a falcon punch. I don't know, I'm spending too much time on this. It's less about Torrey Krug and more about what do we want in the game and what don't we want. Because I tell you what, if it doesn't get punished and your team is down by a few, all I'm asking you is, how does that take make you feel, right? Third period. All right, so what do we got? It's tied heading into the third. Leafs are showing some physical fight back. They're doing some positive little things like Ilya Mikheyev getting in front of the net, screening on the TJ Brody goal. They're doing some negative little things like Ilya Mikheyev going off for a slow line change and Nylander coming on too fast and taking a too many men on the ice call. And speaking of too many men, prior to the Blues game-winning goal, they had too many men! But I don't think we should blame the too many men thing. I don't do this too often. You know, I like to do the screen grabs and everything. Go back and watch the 4-3 goal for the Blues. Nothing I say or show you will do it justice for how shambolic it was. Liljegren at least twice does not know what's going on. Like, he has to change direction because he's like, right, I'm supposed to go. And here's what led to the goal. Liljegren, who I just singled out as not doing a great job, is the only guy doing his job! Who has anybody? Neither guy at the point is taken. One guy in front is taken. The rebound is super not taken. Easy thread the needle play. Easy because no one was doing anything. No one was in their way at all. Parayko to Bozak to Saad. It's a nice goal if you're a Blues fan. It's just an awful watch if you're a Leafs fan. At second intermission, Elliot Friedman was talking about, there could be a Lyubushkin trade with the Arizona Coyotes, and I think Dubas was thinking about it, and after this goal, he pressed send. The Blues get another one, the Blues get an empty netter, and they win the game. Did the Leafs have chances? Yes, they did. Did the Leafs hang with the Blues all game long? Yes, they did. If they play that game again, do the Leafs win? They just might. The Leafs are a great team. The Blues are a great team. When the playoffs begin, whose style do playoff rules favor? I got a few tweets like, is this only a playoff game because the Leafs lost? Please don't insult the intelligence of either one of us and act like you've never seen a playoff game before. The second round one, game one starts, ice hockey turns into ice, it's legal to beat up other people. Now, is that right? No. But we know it's not changing. I'm not asking the Leafs to change what they are. The Lightning didn't change what they are. The Lightning are far more of a skill team than they are a heavy team. You might even argue that's what the Blues are too. They have really underrated skill, a lot of underrated players. But they weather those storms and cause those storms better than the Leafs do. It's just true. It's an area I want the Leafs to get better in because I believe in them. Because I should. They're good. So hey, there was a trade! There's a lot of details here. I want to read them all before I give you my opinion because I have a strong one. Trade! This is from the Toronto Maple Leafs themselves. Trade! We've acquired forward Ryan Dzingel and defenseman Ilya Lyubushkin from Arizona in exchange for forward Nick Ritchie and choice of our third round selection in 2023 or second round selection in 2025. A note. I have never seen that before with a draft pick. I have seen teams get the option of picking which pick they would like, but this is easily the most confusing one I've ever seen. The Coyotes can have a third rounder 2 drafts from now, or a second rounder, which is better, 4 drafts from now, which is worse. The most confusing part of that to me, I didn't think it was legal to trade draft picks more than 3 drafts away. Like if you go to capfriendly.com, go and look at the Arizona Coyotes page right now and all the draft picks they have. It displays 2022, 2023, 2024. And part of the reason for that is I didn't think you were allowed to trade picks 4 drafts from now. This isn't the OHL. You're not allowed to draft, you're not allowed to... The draft picks that get traded in the OHL these days are like, they're not even born. Oh yeah, we'll give you a third rounder in 9 years. Deal involving 47 draft picks from Earl Schwartz. Again, if you're not following him, you're missing out. Dzingel's $1.1 million cap hit can be fully buried in the minors, but he would have to clear waivers, and I would imagine the Leafs want him in the NHL. That's an assumption, but I don't know. Leafs cannot afford Liljegren on the roster. He'll go down. That's a significant piece of information. Also, this is a really small price to pay, this is according to Earl, to get 2 depth upgrades and clear $2.5 million off of next year's cap. Love this trade for the Leafs. So a couple big bombs in there. Number 1, the Leafs can't afford Timothy Liljegren, who was on the shutdown pair with Muzzin tonight, so he has to go to the minors. Like, he has to. That's it. That, or the Leafs put Ryan Dzingel on waivers and risk losing him, which, I don't hate. Like, he's got a pair of 20-plus goal seasons under his belt, and he's noted Leaf killer. But the dude has 4 goals and 3 assists for 7 points in 26 games this season. And in 28 career playoff games, he has 3 goals, 1 assist. Honestly, most of the discourse I saw around this trade involved Liljegren going down. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Dzingel who ends up getting waived. But the other bomb in those details is why this trade is a heist. Dude, Dzingel, Lyubushkin, we haven't even talked about Lyubushkin yet, and he's who the deal revolves around. Nick Ritchie comes off the books. Not just this year, and the Leafs have no cap room, but next year. A $2.5 million cap hit for either a third rounder next year or a second 4 drafts from now? Who knows anything about 4 years from now? Is Dubas going to be around? Is Keefe? Is Shanahan? Is Austin, for goodness sakes? Am I? You never know. My blood pressure's pretty good, but a few more Game 7s might do me in. I don't know. 4 drafts from now? And that's if the Coyotes opt for the second 4 drafts from now. You'd think that 4 drafts from now, because the Coyotes have 90 draft picks already, they would want to be relatively competitive by then. So the possibility exists that they could choose the 3rd rounder next year, which means let's pretend Dzingel sucks and Lyubushkin sucks and neither of them benefit the Leafs this year at all. Then they paid a 3rd round pick for $2.5 million off the books against the cap. That's it. I'm sorry, that's a heist. That is mask over the eyes, twirling his mustache, going yeah, Dubas tying a damsel in distress to the train tracks, cartoony supervillain heist. And what's wild about that is the Coyote... Ritchie makes $3.3 million in actual cash next year. What on earth is the incentive for the Coyotes to do this? Well, according to Cap Friendly, we actually do get a little bit of info there. Salaries this year. Ritchie makes $1.7 million in actual money. Lyubushkin and Dzingel make $2.45. So, Lyubushkin and Dzingel are on expiring deals. Ritchie has 1 year left at $3.3 million. However, a buyout would reduce that cost to $2.2 million. If Arizona do buy out Ritchie, they will essentially have bought a 2nd round pick for $1.45 million. It's still a 2nd round pick 4 drafts from now, which I'm having a really hard time getting over. But still, that amount of money for a 2nd round pick in today's NHL, it's understandable. There's also the possibility that Nick Ritchie, who was valuable enough to get a 2-year deal at $2.5 million against the cap per, it's also possible he does well in Arizona. And who knows, heading into the playoffs, they look at him and they go, he's a big boy. He can score goals. He can play on our 2nd power play unit. He can punch people in the face. I'll give you a pick for him. I don't know. 4th, maybe retain a little salary, I don't know. That possibility does exist for the Coyotes, unless he's been bought out by the time you watch this, and then in that case, LOL. So that provides some of the logic for the Coyotes, but man, there's no downside here for the Leafs. Dude, here's what they get, because, we're gonna need Ritchie in the playoffs. They weren't gonna play him. That's the long and short of it. They weren't going to play him. Whether Dzingel goes to the minors or not, I literally don't care. It's nothing against him. It's just the Leafs are fine up front, in my opinion. They're fine. He's depth. Cool. Ilya Lyubushkin, on the other hand, is a big defender with an actual pulse who shoots right-handed, which I find to be neat. From JFresh, here are Lyubushkin's 2020-2021 microstats, courtesy of Instat and all 3 zones. Not especially creative with the puck, not especially great at defending the rush, but responsible in his own end and willing to battle for pucks. My favorite stat about Ilya Lyubushkin is he has 1 goal in 180 games. Sorry, did I say favorite? I meant least favorite. My favorite stat about him is that he's 6'2" and 208 pounds. Like, forget the goals. He has 18 assists. He has 19 points in 180 games. Can I offer a theory on that, by the way? Can I offer a theory? The Coyotes suck. On the Leafs, he can get assists by accident. Like, what? Oh, he's making these breakout passes. To who? To who? Outside of Leaf legend Phil Kessel, there are 3 Leafs who played on the Leafs last year who are on the Coyotes this season. Can you name them all? If I gave you 10 seconds, could you do it? By the time I am done this little clip here, could you do it? Have you done it? I bet you haven't. Riley Nash, Alex Galchenyuk, Travis Boyd. Lyubushkin's gonna get a secondary assist when he puts the jersey on. But I really don't care. I don't, because he's a body mover. I've seen a lot of arguments that they need a puck mover, they just need to be better. And yeah, that's true. I don't know if the solution on the second pair is on the team right now. I don't know if the Leafs are done. I would suggest they're not. Are they gonna send Liljegren down, or are they gonna waive Dzingel? What's up with Travis Dermott? Is this dude just the 8th defenseman now, or is there a trade potentially in the works there? Does Justin Hall even make the lineup, or does he go right back to being with Jake Muzzin? In which case, I would say yes, the Leafs do have more work to do. But if the third pair is all of a sudden Sandin and Lyubushkin, yeah, that's an improved Leaf team. I'm sorry. And again, if all else fails, if Dzingel is a disaster and Lyubushkin is a disaster, they still freed up 2.5 against the cap next season for a pick you're going to forget about. 2.5 mil. What does that even get you? What does that even get you? Well, it potentially keeps you Jack Campbell. What does it get you? I'll tell you exactly what it gets you. Morgan Rielly has a $5 million cap hit this season. He signed an extension. Next season, he's going to make 7.5. Done. Washed. Rielly doesn't care. He's getting a $2.5 million raise next season, but for the Leafs purposes, this trade basically wipes his raise away. Like, to me, it's unreal. There's no way of looking at that deal as bad based on freeing up $2.5 million of cap alone. If the Coyotes knock it out of the park with a third rounder 2 years from now or a second rounder 4 years from now, bless them. Bless them. Good job. The Leafs are trying to win now because they should, and they freed up $2.5 million. Plus, they got a defenseman who's probably going to make their team better, even if it's only a little, and a forward who, I don't know, magic beans. If you're Arizona, it's a potentially crafty way to get another draft pick and possibly even save some money. If you're the Leafs, there's no bad way to look at this deal. There really isn't. Kyle Dubas has a lot of work to do leading into the trade deadline. Great start. Great start. Seriously, I love this deal. I really do. But what do you think? Leave a comment in the comment box down below. But for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Oh my goodness, we got so much content on SDPN. Go subscribe to that YouTube channel as well. SDPN.ca. We have a website. And the Leafs have a Lyubushkin.